Hi, everybody. It's Matt Halls of the Happy Show and Comics Unlimited in Evansville, Indiana. And I'm going to spare you having to look at my face today. I just want to go through some books I picked up recently. My good friend Larry, who has Larry's Library, that's the name of his YouTube channel. He came by and we worked out a deal on some books where we did a trade on some, like he got a couple of huge books, kind of like omnibuses of sorts from me and some other items, and I picked up some stuff from him. And some of the stuff I singled out for whether or not I'm going to list it. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to list these on the internet on my eBay, which is Comics Unlimited is my seller name on eBay. If you want to look me up, I got a store there, and I sell stuff mostly as buy it now items, but sometimes I'll do auctions. And I'm going back and forth on right now at the moment on if I'm going to list some of this stuff on eBay or if I'm going to take them to some shows I'm doing in the next month. Maybe I'll do a little bit of both, see what happens. Maybe I'll list them on eBay for sale, and if they're still up by the time I go to do a show, I'll take them down to do the show. I don't know. This one's kind of a cool one. It's technically not the Tomb of Dracula, but it is. Related to the series. It's an offshoot, when they did these giant sizes, but it's the same Dracula character from Marvel, and it's giant size Dracula, and this is the fifth of the series. The fascinating thing about this is it actually has early John Byrne. In fact, the first official credited published artwork by John Byrne for Marvel. It's a backup story, and it's inked by Rudy Debris, if I'm saying the name correctly, who is a very talented artist in his own right. Unfortunately, though, if you're a fan of John Byrne art and you want to see John Byrne art, not only is because this is early work is a bit different, but it's inked by Rudy Nebris, who was a very powerful inker. So, in other words, it looks more like Rudy Nebris than it does John Byrne. Still, it is for any Byrne fan the kind of a key thing to note because of being his first published work. On now there is another work before this, which is I think Gulliver Jones, if I remember correctly, is the character, which is one of the Marvel monster magazines. I think Monsters Unleashed. There's an issue of that John Byrne has an uncredited. He has work that's in there, but it's uncredited. He inked George Perez and George Perez's first published work for Marvel. So that's kind of fascinating because they both started out at the same time, and technically the first work they both did for Marvel was the same job. But again, John Byrne's not credited. This is the first official job he did that's credited to him. And that one, what it was he was friends with the inker, the credited inker, Duffy Volan. They knew each other and worked together on Charlton stuff and all that. And so Byrne was assisting the inker of that story. That's why some of the pages have and characters have John Byrne inks. This I singled these out though. I got a whole bunch of Tube of Draculas from Larry's books that in the deal we brokered between each other. This is an early appearance of Blade. Well, not real early, but it's back before he got his black outfit and everything. The old green goggles and all that. But I think this is a solo story. I know this one here, I think is pretty much a solo story as I recall. Dracula, of course, it's his title and he's on the cover, but it's more or less a solo thing. In fact, it's kind of interesting. Blade fights alone. If I remember correctly, Wolverine's first actual solo fight in the X-Men book was titled, I think, Wolverine Fights Alone. And they were roughly in the same. Well, this predates it, but they're pretty close to the same era. I just singled those out because they're nice, pretty nice copies, and their Blade appearances. I got two copies of Ghost Rider #1 from Larry. I just have one right here. This is the one I think, yeah, has the staple that kind of busted through the cover. But otherwise, it's a pretty nice looking copy. And so I singled those out because what I've done with these is I posted on Facebook uh, the other night and well, just last night actually, but I was posting about some books that I picked up, letting people know what to expect. This Wolverine is not actually something I just picked up recently, to be honest. I just had some copies. I thought, hey, it'd be nice to go ahead and include it in this post I was doing on Facebook. So that's why that's there. Here we got the second issue, the second appearance, in fact, of the Uncanny X-Men. And I picked that up in a collection today too. The first appearance of Vanisher, and he's wearing a red outfit, but that actually would later be changed to green. And then when you see this reprinted, it's usually changed to green, which is kind of funny because that leads into what I'm going to discuss about the next issue. Now, I had a number 5 in the batch of books that the person brought to me earlier this evening, um, but one of the people, that was selling it, she decided she wanted to hold on to number 5 as a keepsake. But number 5 was the second appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. This is the third appearance of the Brotherhood. And on that cover and on the first appearance of the Brotherhood in the 4th issue, Scarlet Witch is wearing a green outfit, even though she's just called the Scarlet Witch. Now, by this point, they were starting to finally color her scarlet or red, And so there's Scarlet Witch's Quicksilver, Magneto, Mastermind, and the Toad in the background. And you have, of course, Submariner there, and he was still wearing red shorts, but they changed to green. She was green, they changed to red. Those were red, they changed to green. So you could tell they're still getting things situated back in the early days of Marvel there. This was, I believe, the second appearance of Blob, and another early Brotherhood appearance. And this is just interesting thing. I know that I was talking with the people who I bought this from earlier. I noticed this since I was young. I don't remember when I first noticed it, but maybe when it first came out. But they had these little wing things. That's not somebody that draw that on there. In fact, I wonder if sometimes there might be people who sell this or buy this. I wonder if that's drawn on the cover. No, that's actually published like that. And to me, what that looks like, I think that's the tips of Angel's wings. Now, it's obviously not this drawing of Angel. So what I'm thinking is that's from another cover of the Uncanny X-Men. Well, at this time, it's just the X-Men. This is number 7, so there isn't too many other issues before. And even though I've saw this before, I don't know if I've ever went back and verified this. I might do that here in a little while, just for my own curiosity. But I think for whatever reason, in production art, when they put this together, they forgot the clip that part out or white it out, because I think most people who are familiar with these would know this, but if in case you're just a younger person or just don't realize it, there wasn't computers really, certainly not home computers back in those days. Computers that there was these huge wall-sized devices mostly that was being used by scientists and all. Artists weren't using, Photoshop. There was no such thing. So, like on these magazines and comic books and stuff, whenever they applied the logos, they usually had a photostat of the logo that they cut and pasted and put on each issue, and it's kept the same look. But sometimes there might have been photostat that had other artwork underneath it. And I think that's what happened here, is that they just have photostat and forgot to trim that part out. This is the first appearance of Juggernaut, and that was a pretty cool one to pick up today. And then this is the second appearance with guest appearance by the Human Torch, and another neat issue. I always love it that Angel, they have him flying off like he's going to do anything to Juggernaut. Give me a break. No offense to Angel fans. There's a reason why they retooled him as Archangel, because, really, he's just a guy who could fly. And this is just a little aside to mention that it always frustrated me that Iceman was referred to as the weakest member of the X-Men in a lot of these early stories. I think that's based mainly off the age, which isn't fair to call him the weakest simply because he's the youngest. But I always thought, wait a minute, you got a guy whose only power is to fly. Meanwhile, you got another guy who create ice slides and ice weaponry and all that other stuff and shoot ice blast, and he's considered the weakest. All he has to do is form an ice bat and beat the heck out of Angel and freeze his wings to ground him. I never understood that, but all right. And then this is the early appearance of the Sentinels. I think this is the third part of the series. I'm getting rusty in age, and what's funny is I just read the reprints in the X-Men collection called The Children of Adam. It was a boxed set, and I read that within this last year, and yet I'm already forgetting is this the third issue? And I used to remember when I was younger, so that's a sign of growing older. I used to be able to tell you off the top of my head what was on every cover, pretty much, of the X-Men and Fantastic Four and a few other titles. Uh, and I think it's either the first appearance of Master Mold or it's his first full appearance. Because I think if he did appear in the previous issue, it was like a cameo. This is another issue of the earlier issue of the X-Men number 17. And that hand there, I hope you don't mind me spoiling, is Magneto. So, first appearance of the character known as the Mimic, the first non-mutant to join the X-Men, though in this issue he was purely a villain. He came back later and joined them as kind of a good guy. He still has a bit of an edge to him. And this is a story that tells a bit about the origin of Professor Xavier, how he lost the use of his legs. Number 20. This one was not, it's X-Men, but it wasn't picked up in the same collection. I had a previous collection I picked up, but I wanted to add it to the stack. That's X-Men 48. And at the time, they were taking turns of focusing on either duos or single members of the team. I don't know if that was just to see if they would spike the sales to figure out who was the more popular one. I don't know exactly. There's some, I'm sure, some marketing reason for why they were focusing on just a couple of members of the team. For a while, they did that for a stretch of issues. The Incredible Hulk, nothing particularly key, though it's a cool old issue of Hulk, an early one in his run. He took over Tales to Astonish. So number 100 was the first issue. I think it was 100 with him. Was it 100 or 102? See, I'm getting rusty again. I know Hulk fans are like screaming, it was 102, or I think it might be 102. Anyway, so this is like within the first 10 issues after he took over or got his own series again, which again was actually taking over the Tales to Astonish book, which is why it's that high of a numbering. You got Kazar there joining in. You got Neil Adams, a legendary artist who passed away in just the last few months. His early work on the Doctor Strange, excuse me, Strange Adventures with Dead Man stories, the earliest Dead Man stories. He didn't do the first appearance of Dead Man, but he started up within the issue or so after that, and this is, the story, the artwork and stuff that he did on the Strange Adventures. 3 issues consecutive, I think. They're all consecutive issues. Here's the Witchy Hour, which a lot of the old DC horror, this is number 3, would have a lot of really good artists. Now, MS, I'm going blank on who this is. I need to look it up. I should know. I'm usually pretty good remembering the artist from the period. But for some reason, it's escaping me. I think NC, I think that's Nick Cardy, who probably did the inking. But I'm going blank on the penciler there. But you would have people like Bernie Wrightson, Neil Adams, and other talented artists do work on a lot of these horror magazines. Put a notation there. There's a writing on ad page, unfortunately. But I put that there just to keep me abreast of that whenever I decide to, put a label on the book or what have you, or list on eBay, so I won't forget to mention that. Avengers 55 with the early Black Panther appearance, especially as a member of the Avengers. I think he joined just a few issues before. Another notation that reminds me that this one unfortunately has a loose center page, but otherwise it's pretty much intact. Captain Marvel number 2, Marvel's Captain Marvel, and the original version of that Captain Marvel. And then there's the the Super Skrull. The Red Super Skrull. No, the Super Skrull. Using Human Torch powers there. This is Silver Surfer number 3, which is the first appearance of Mephisto, which has become a pretty pricey book. Unfortunately, this one has some big chips on the side, but otherwise it's pretty much intact. It's got some creases and bends, but uh, like I said, it's still a solid copy otherwise. Another one that's fairly nice copy, though still low grade, a little mid grade at least. It has some spine creases right there, and black covers are hard, notoriously hard not to get some damage that shows up. That's John Buscema artwork. With him with the thing fighting Submariner. You got King Size Special, which is the annuals. That's for a period they call them King Size Specials, but as you can even see on the side, they also refer to it as annual. Number 6 of the Fantastic Four, pretty nice copy. Still not high grade, but still a nice one. It has first appearance of Nihilus and the birth and therefore the first appearance of Franklin Richards. And they go to the negative zone in this one. And it also has a questionnaire that thankfully this one isn't written in, but I had sold one at a show just this last May. Another copy that wasn't as nice as this one. And somebody had written on the questionnaire. And while that was annoying, and thankfully they only wrote on that page, it still was fascinating on one level because it was a kid at the time. And so it was just funny to read their responses to this questionnaire. Anyway, this is Murphy Anderson cover for the first issue of the Spectre, which I believe was the first solo Spectre. This is for the Silver Age comics. He first appeared in the Golden Age, and he had solo adventures. But I don't think I think this is the first book that was actually dedicated to him as a character. He always was featured in some other title before that. And then Green Lantern, not a particularly key issue, but just a cool one from the 60s, number 62. And then the last in the stack is the 80-page giant, number 178 of The Flash, which features Golden Age Flash and Kid Flash, and as you see, Green Lantern there. And reprints some classic stories from earlier ventures there. So that was a stack, and up here, just if you're curious, I've got some Tomb Raiders with Greg Land and Adam Hughes artwork on the cover that I was thinking about putting on eBay too. I picked those up a while back. But anyway, that's the books that I just got recently. I thought I'd share with you. And again, if you want to, check out my eBay store, Comics Unlimited on eBay. And meanwhile, I'll make another vlog and talk to you all later. So, yay! See you later.